Now, when you played him in the final in '93, that was roughly 10 months after you guys had been together in Barcelona for the '92 Olympics, the Dream Team, the greatest team ever assembled in the history of sports, in my opinion. The legendary practice that was talked about there, because you guys were playing, the practices had to be so much better than any of the games that you wound up playing against any of the other countries. Those were very different times as far as international basketball. What do you remember about the legendary practice where Michael Jordan had to make sure his team won?
Well, it was a battle of egos. It was awesome. The best thing I've ever experienced in my life. Because, you had me and Karl Malone, who were the best two power forwards in the world. We were trying to kill each other every day. You had Michael, who hated Clyde Drexler. They were trying to kill each other. You had David Robinson and Scottie Pippen trying to prove who was the best center in the world. They were trying to kill each other. And then you had Magic, who was trying to prove, because Scottie had just beat him in they had beat him in the finals, so he wanted to get revenge. So it was the most intense thing. Like, not just, people talk about this one day. It was like that every single day. Guys were all trying to prove their point. It was amazing. It was amazing for two reasons. Number one, we were all trying to kill each other. But it was also amazing. Once the game was over, we went back and got on the bus and went back to the hotel together. And we act like nothing ever happened. That's how cool it was.
Jalen?
You know the thing that wasn't cool, Charles, though, as a Bad Boys fan? That my hometown guy that won the championship in '89 and '90, Isiah Thomas, was left off that squad. Did you have any thoughts or feelings at the time? And what do you feel seeing that there's still some friction potentially between him and MJ, possibly about that to this day?
Well, Jalen, you guys were fantastic last week. I felt bad for Isiah Thomas, to be honest with you, because I work with Isiah and I like him a lot. And I thought some of the conversation after the fact was disrespectful to Isiah. Isiah and the Bad Boys, hey, listen, man, they're one of the best teams to ever do it. I thought, number one, I have no idea what happened while he was left off the team. They never asked me, number one, about Isiah. Isiah probably should have been on the team. I will say this. I think Isiah, and he admitted, he probably should have shaken Michael Jordan's hand. But I was mad last week how different news outlets tried to make Isiah be a bad guy. He made a mistake not shaking Michael's hand. But after that, he probably should have been on the Dream Team. You're 100% correct. But I just thought some of the stuff that happened to Isiah after last week was disrespectful, because he's the greatest pure point guard ever. Him and John Stockton. Magic Johnson is the greatest point guard ever, but he's a freak of nature. But Isiah Thomas and John Stockton are the two best pure. When I say pure, I mean little guys to play the point guard position. They're the best to ever do it.
One of my favorite things about Last Dance being on now, Charles, is my son, who is 17 years old, who, of course, is not old enough to have seen Michael Jordan play and loves basketball, lives and dies with it every single year, is getting a glimpse as to what it was. So I just wonder, for all of the fans out there who are watching this conversation right now who are not old enough, what are you learning from this? What are you seeing in it that perhaps you hadn't seen before? And what do you want them to know about what Michael was like in the 90s?
Well, a couple things. Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods are the two greatest I've ever seen do what they do. And being around both of those guys, I've never seen fans react to Michael and Tiger. And I've been around, obviously Bird, Magic, Kareem. Kareem's amazing also. Obviously, we don't talk about him being the greatest. I've never seen fans react to Michael and Tiger like anybody else in the world. But I'll go back to episode 1 when Roy Williams said this guy turned it on and he never turned it off. And then in episode 2 when he broke his foot, but he wanted to come back and play. I hope that every young player realized Michael just wanted to be the greatest basketball player ever. He never worried about how many Twitter followings he had. He never worried about how many endorsements he had. That's the thing that it was great for me to remind these young guys, it's great to be rich, it's great to be famous, but ain't nothing better than just being the best basketball player you can be. That's what I learned from this series from Michael.
You know, Charles, before we let you go, we always are so appreciative of you giving so much time with us here. We wanted to give you this. 26 years ago today, do you know what happened? I'll tell you what happened. You scored 56 points in a playoff series clinching win over Golden State, which is tied for the third highest total ever in an NBA playoff game. What do you remember about that game?
Well, you know what's really funny about that, Greeny? Number one, you know, Nike had made the Chris Webber commercial about him dunking on me. So they called me in the middle of the season and says, hey, Charles, we want to do this commercial with you and Chris Webber. I'm like, hey, I love Chris Webber, who, by the way, should be in the Hall of Fame 5 years ago. But I remember Nike calling me, Nike saying, we want to make this commercial with you and Chris Webber. I didn't know they were going to show the commercial of him dunking on me. So when I saw the commercial, I just started laughing. And then we just happened to play them in the first round of the playoffs. And I said, I got to get this dude back. He made fun of me, dunking on me in the barber shop. And I just remember, that's the one thing I remember. I got to get this dude back for dunking on me and laughing about it in the barber shop.
Jalen, he got him for 56.
That was classic material. And Charles is right. See where it went behind the back and everything in the commercial. So when they got a chance to play each other in the playoffs, Chuck Wagon wasn't playing with those boys, and they swept them. How did that feel, Chuck?
Hey, Jalen. Number one, man, you're doing a fantastic job. Keep up the great work. You know, the thing that was really funny, so in game one and game two, I had a triple-double. So I got like 25 the first quarter, and Nelly, who's one of the best trash talkers ever, I says, Nelly, are you going to double me? He said, Charles, I'm not going to double you. So I got 26 after the first quarter. I got 33 at halftime, I think, if I remember correctly. He said, hey, I told you I wasn't going to double you. I said, Nelly, I'm going to give you one more chance. Are you going to double me? He said, you're going to have to get 60. And after the game, we always joke. He says, you didn't get 60, but you got 56.